Yeah, so what is Korvold's favorite food?
What is Korvold's favorite food?
Snacrifice food.
Hope he doesn't get too fat. Hello, friendos. This is Chain. Welcoming you back to Chain of Commander. And for this month of April, for our visit to the Recruitment Office, I brought on a fresh guest here to talk about probably one of the more interesting decks I've seen so far in this particular segment. So without further ado, let me take the opportunity and have our guest introduce himself here.
Hey everyone, my name is AstralsFlame, or you can call me Sean. I'm a Commander and MTG Arena content creator. Sort of a 50-50 split between the two. One of the co-hosts of the Draw for Turn podcast, and hopefully here today to talk about an interesting take on Korvold with some big boy Eldrazi's.
Ooh, Korvold with Eldrazi. That is not necessarily a build I've seen before. So when you first showed me this list, I was definitely taking the time to kind of go over things here. And so where can I find you? Where can I find you, Mr. Flame?
Yeah, so you can find me at TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at AstralsFlame. I was one of the lucky few, I think, where I actually got to keep my name, but that's only because I had to sneak in the S between Astral and Flame, because somebody else beat me to AstralsFlame. So
see, I was very close to having the across the board same name, but then I got to Twitter. And Twitter has a 15 character limit, and my name is 16 characters long, and it got me. So that's the only one that's different, but it makes it still easy enough. They got link trees out there. All right, so Korvold here. Normally kind of, a lot of people don't like playing against Korvold just because he leads to very long turns and just very difficult to handle. He just rewards you from doing things that a lot of decks are doing already. However, I noticed the way you built your deck, not so much in the same kind of vein here. Like, you got a couple of fetch lands, but you're not like all the fetch lands. And what inspired you to build Korvold this way? What's going on here?
So it kind of stemmed from MTG Arena. I'm a massive Jund fan and Jund Sacrifice fan. My favorite deck to play in Arena is Jund Sacrifice with Korvold. I also love just playing big, dumb, stupid creatures the odd time, and like Ulamog is in Arena. So I was like, how can I combine the two? My favorite color with some of the favorite things I like to do. And then thus the deck came to be. I looked into how to sort of take in Korvold with a small aristocrats package and utilize Eldrazi spawn tokens that you're going to be sacrificing for mana, generating card draw from Korvold, and re-getting that mana back to play your big Eldrazi.
All right, and it's the big Eldrazi that you're hitting here. What are the big ones that you want to be casting? You said Ulamog.
Yep.
Is that the new Ulamog or the old Ulamog? I think the new one's in Arena, right?
It's both. The new one is in Arena, but it's both Ulamogs in the deck. So we do double copy of them. We do a copy of the old Kozilek, the Butcher of Truth, and Emrakul, the Promised End, because Emmy is banned otherwise, and it makes me cry at night.
Yeah, this is a nice bastion for the cards that get banned. That's where, like, I see that you also have Iugen as well. When I play Tron Iugen, I regret his loss after the Eldrazi Winter, and once I recently was building a Kozilek deck, and I'm like, oh, I can finally pull out an old favorite of mine once again and play it again. My Kozilek, though, that's one of the cards I need, and that thing's getting expensive. I might as well put this out here, folks. I'm going to put a deck list of this in the description. I don't think this qualifies as a budget build per se, but it really determines on what your definition of budget is. This is definitely a loaded, and I think we were saying earlier, not necessarily CDH, but definitely the higher level of casual in terms of power level here.
Yeah, it definitely does contain a couple of the CEDH components because you're looking to do powerful things, and the deck is not meant to be a budget base. This has definitely been like my pet deck that has taken me months to even hunt down specific cards on good deals. Sort of put the Jund factor into the deck that every card either has to be like foil, extended art, special printing, Um, Jund to get out, as the we know the term. It's about 70% complete in that regard. So I'll eventually get the full 100% bling, but it's been a project to labor and love.
No, I've got a deck like that too. That at this point is 100% filled out. I understand exactly where you're coming from that one. But as I think we were mentioning earlier as well, like as much as this is a bunch of big, powerful, individually very, very high-end cards, you got some crazy stuff in here too. We were talking about Skittery Invasion in particular and kind of how that works in the deck, and I thought that was pretty interesting what you were saying. If you want to kind of go over that again here.
Yeah, definitely. So, like, Skittery Invasion definitely doesn't see, like, a lot of play in places, but in this particular build, I opted for it just because of the synergy with Korvold itself. So, yes, you're paying 7 mana to get 5 tokens, but we're running things like Doubling Season and Parallel Lives. So, suddenly that 5 token turns into 10. You're paying 7 mana to get 10 tokens. We're running Bolas's Citadel, so there's even a chance it's on the top of the deck, and you're paying 7 life for 5 mana or 10 mana, and then suddenly that's 5 draws or 10 draws with Korvold, plus mana that you can just use to cast one of the big parts of the deck.
That is definitely a really cool interaction, and a place that you see a card, and like I said, EDH, I've said this plenty of times, but EDH is where you get to play cards you don't really get to see all too often. The Skittering Invasion is a prime example of that particular kind of point of view. So what other things about this deck? There's a lot. I see a lot of different kind of synergies in here. What are your favorite kind of win cons or synergies or just general interactions within this deck?
Favorite thus far has definitely been like the Bolas Citadel interaction. Like, we have 40 life power, and to date, I think my favorite thing to have done is play a Bolas Citadel and cast a Kozilek for 10 life instead of 10 mana on like turn 8. And then, draw like 4 cards. That's by far been my favorite thing. Just Citadel is such a fun card, utilizing your life as a resource just to play big free things. I've definitely regretted playing certain things. I've died to like a shock to the face because I left myself at 2 life. But Citadel is also entwined with a combination with a Mayhem Devil. So sacking 10 non-land permanents with the Bolas's Citadel, triggering 10 life loss for all my opponents, plus 10 Mayhem Devil triggers. And in there is also an Aetherflux, like the Aetherflux Marvel works, or the Aetherworks Marvel. So 10 permanents gone means 10 energy, which means I get to tap it and look at the top 6 to cast something big for free. One of like the favorite quotes I've ever heard is, "This deck has energy, sacrifice, and Eldrazi." I love what I'm seeing.
Yeah, no, it's... Oh, God. I wish there was more energy support in Magic. I'm excited for the day that we get to visit it, and it's a little bit less parasitic, if you will, but... Oh, yeah, Aetherworks Marvel is such a fun card. Another one that got banned pretty much everywhere else, too, so this is a nice little home of all the favorite powerful cards. The Bolas's Citadel, I know you mentioned, I just want to kind of bring it up here, but I know you mentioned the sacrifice 10 permanents, but that kind of plays nicely with the Skittering Invasion we mentioned earlier too. If you're able to get it with the Doubling Season out, boom, an instant activation of draining everybody for 10 for 5 life of your own, that's a fair trade to me.
I agree.
Yeah. All right, so there's just so much to take in with this deck. Let's hit up the mana base then. You got 36 lands. That seems about normally appropriate. It does look mostly optimized. What are some of the key cards mana base wise that you think this deck plays the best with?
So definitely with the fetch lands for sure. That's automatic synergy with Korvold. I didn't opt to go in with the full sweep package of fetch lands to try to push it out. What I tried to go with the deck was the few fetches to thin out the mana base to interact with Korvold, but then also have that small Tron aspect with like the Eye of Ugin to reduce the cost of your Eldrazi spells. Also for tutoring out as well. And just some other kind of fun stuff. There's Bajuka Bog, where in black, that automatically hits all the graveyards. There's my graveyard hate. Few basics, so Blood Moon doesn't like automatically wreck me, which has definitely happened. Just some sort of key things in there, and Reliquary Tower too. You're playing Korvold, card draw is incentive. I've definitely had like 15 card hands very easily, and that just makes it so I don't have to discard.
Yeah, it's really kind of weird. Korvold is one of those few non-blue commanders that you're actually like, it needs Reliquary Tower. It's not just like something that a lot of people are trying to fit in there, especially in 3-color decks, trying to fit in this colorless utility land. You really got to weigh your pros and cons. But for Korvold, it makes a lot more sense than a lot of other decks I've seen it in. So that is a very reasonable point that you got there. Jeez, it's just, this deck is so cool. Oh, you mentioned before we started recording, you mentioned the food chain and a couple things about that. Like you said that you don't get to play it that often, but if you want to go a bit further into the food chain combo here.
Yeah, definitely. So the food chain combo with the deck is just utilizing food chain and Squee. Squee the Immortal Goblin. So like Squee is down on the table, food chain is there. You remove Squee from the game and you generate 1 mana, or like his mana cost +1 of any color. So you effectively make infinite red, continue to recast him for exile, and then continue to do that, and suddenly you have infinite mana. This also effectively lets you basically cast any card in the deck that's a creature, which we're looking for the big Eldrazi. So between interactions and stuff, continually casting Squee, playing the big stuff for free. That, and there's like an Ashnod's Altar, Phyrexian Altar. So after generating enough mana to recast the Squee, you can turn Squee's infinite mana of creature into infinite mana for stuff and spells, and have Korvold out so that you can just basically draw your whole deck to look for the win condition you at that time, which is like a Chandra's Ignition, very top end of things. So food chain is sort of a means to an end. If I need to play it to end the game, it's there, but it's not like the most important card of the deck. I'm also just a bit of a fanboy for food chain, so I was like, I need to have it here.
Now, out of curiosity, before we got Korvold back in Eldrazi, did you play the Prosh version? Kind of like the predecessor, the spiritual predecessor for this deck?
I did not. My actual food chain predecessor for the deck was Niv Mizzet Reborn food chain with the Guildgates combo. So win condition with that deck was basically like you could like Corpse Knight in for everything, but the fun way was food chain in, infinite mana, recast Niv, draw your Bring Delight, grab a Golos the Tireless Pilgrim, and then have an Eldrazi Displacer to continually bounce the Golos to get all the Guildgates with an Amulet of Vigor. It was a 10 card interaction combo, but it was really fun to do.
No, yeah, a Guildgate combo is I think it's pretty neat. I think everything's neat though, so if anybody's out there's like, this is like the 9th thing he said is neat. Yeah, it's the 9th thing I thought was neat so far. Jeez, let me think things are nice.
A lot of things are neat.
All right. I want to take a step back though to not necessarily the deck itself, but you were mentioning that you were working on foiling and stuff out. What's the prized possession out of all the special printings that you've acquired so far for this deck?
It would probably be an altar of my Korvold as the command. Initially for the deck I had a foiling, but my other co-hosts of Draw for Turn chipped in for me to get a painted extended art version of Korvold all done around the card for a Christmas gift. So that's been at the helm, and that's just been like the prize and joy. You see like his flame smoking out from his mouth, the border's been all painted down to match the coloring, the extended picture with the people on it, and it just it's clean, pristine, and I absolutely adore it.
That is, I'm going to have you send me a picture of that, because I want to actually see this with my eyeballs and let everybody else see it with their eyeballs as well, for those who have eyes.
Definitely can.
Yeah, that is so cool. I really wish I could get more into altars, but there's never a card that I'm like, this is what I want altered. Normally, I theme my foilings, I theme my special editions and whatnot, and someday I'll find a deck that I want to completely alter, but not quite sure what that'll be quite yet. All right, so last thing I kind of want you to guide us through how this deck would play, more or less, over the course of a game, what you do early, what you do late, and after that, I think we'll pretty good shape to wrap it up. So if you want to go ahead and kind of give us the general game plan of the deck.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, as like any deck with green, early strategy is ramp. So like ideal world, obviously you're gonna hope for the God Hand with like Mana Crypt and Soul Ring, but traditionally, I will look for like a Nest Invader or early piece of Eldrazi kind of minion spawn, 1 or 2 ramp cards, and maybe something in the 5 to 6 mana curve turn. I look to get mana base a bit ahead and to have an optional piece of a token for a sacrifice for Korvold. I do my best with Korvold to avoid sacrificing my lands if I can, because there is a large dependency and synergies in the deck for it. So after you've ramped up a few in the couple early game turns, Korvold typically will pop down turn 5 or 6. He'll eat like maybe a Bitter Blossom token, maybe Necropotence if I don't need it if it's out that early, or a small Eldrazi spawn, or Scion, draw a card. You sort of establish the commander out and your engine's there. And then moving to turn 6 through 7, you're looking to try to garner the mana in order to play one of the Eldrazi. There's definitely a time when the Eldrazi can come out by turn 6. On average, it's about turn 7. If you're lucky enough to tutor a Defense of the Heart, it can be as early as turn 5.
That's nice and quick and get the game over with quick. So yeah, that's pretty neat. That is pretty neat. So yeah, at this point, I want you to look at that camera there. I want you to say hi to the people at home. And I want you to give one last heartfelt pitch and why anybody who's on the edge about this should consider shoving some Eldrazi into their Korvold deck and just hitting face with them.
If you've ever wondered what it's like to have the spaghetti monsters on your behind with a dragon leading the charge, and specifically a dragon normal or a dragon noble, then Korvold Eldrazi is the way to go. The king leads the charge and the spaghetti monsters are your lord and saviors to follow through.
Very exciting. Very, very noble, very valiant of them. All right, Astral, if you could just remind the folks at home where they can find you.
Absolutely. So you can find me at Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at AstralsFlame. Usually streaming Arena or I'm streaming Commander. Just hit me up anywhere. I'm always open to talk, especially if it's Commander.
All right, and I'll get those links there in the description for you. Give him a follow, give him a like, just check him out. He's got a lot of cool stuff going on. Beyond that, I want to thank all of you at home for joining us today. I love it when we get to hang out like this, and I'll see you guys again in the future.
Just say bye.